Now, TikTok and Instagram, are they really worse than porn? In my personal opinion, I think they're a lot worse than porn. Now, don't get me wrong, porn is really addictive and it really messes up with your brain a lot. And me personally, I still do have a lot of trouble trying to quit porn and trying to move on with my life. But I think Instagram and TikTok are even worse than porn. First of all, it's because there's so much easy access to it. Kids nowadays, like as soon as they turn 8, as soon as they get their first phone, the first thing they do is they install Instagram and TikTok. And there's a bunch of other like apps like X, but these are the main two. And it's very easily accessible for everybody, and so nobody thinks that much of it. And this is how an addiction slowly starts. For me, I got my first phone in high school. I know I was late to the scene, but in high school I got my first touch phone, and I did use Instagram and TikTok a lot. And forgive me, I'm ancient, but back then we didn't have Reels. So this was in 2019. So and then TikTok just came out, and back then it wasn't as bad. Social media apps weren't that addicting. Like, of course, you could be on there for like half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever, but eventually you'll get bored and you'll do something else. But since 2022, as times have come forth, um, especially with Instagram introducing Reels and with TikTok, improving their algorithm, it is a lot harder to stop scrolling now because they will constantly keep feeding you new types of information that you don't need at all. And it's absolutely devastating to whoever is using those apps. Nowadays, the average teen and young adult in their early 20s, I would say their average time spent on Instagram and TikTok is around 5 to 6 hours. And there's actually some studies to prove this. That's crazy to think that you're spending 5 to 6 hours each day on TikTok and Instagram. Like you get 24 hours each day. And let's say you sleep for 8, so that gives you 16 hours. And let's say you have a job, so that's you take away 8 hours. So you have 8 hours of free time. And of that 8 hours of free time, you're using TikTok for 6 of those hours. That's crazy. You're giving up most of your free time right there. Using, especially with TikTok, you see all these top creators who are 0.01% of the population. You see them getting these exotic cars, selling these trading courses. You see the models on there. You see them, like slim thick, like they got like the perfect physique. Or you see like a 17-year-old kid that's like blasting trend. That's more massive than Larry Wheels. Like you see all these like extraordinary 1% of the population, not even 1%, like 0.01% of the population. And the first thing you do is you immediately start to compare yourself to them. Now, for me personally, I've started going to the gym last year, and I think I've made good progress. But when I see like 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids on TikTok that are, absolutely massive, that have insane amounts of muscle, I cannot help but compare myself to them. And there was a few points, there was times when I compared myself so much to them that it was absolutely devastating, that it really affected my mental health and how I felt about how I looked. And I've stopped using social media for a few months now, and I could say that the confidence in myself has risen a lot compared to when I was using social media. Yeah, it just sets really high standards. And there's so many people LARPing that don't even have what they're showing. You could see a kid that rented out a Lamborghini, and you're like, "Oh shoot, this dude's 19, and he rented out a Lamborghini, and I'm like 25, and I'm working a 9 to 5. Oh my God, I gotta do better." Like he obviously doesn't have that Lamborghini. He's just doing it for the views. That's what a lot of people online don't understand. That almost none of these people what really have what they show they have. And they just want to create this fake persona online. They're just LARPing, to be honest. And The common person, he's gonna look at this LARP and he's gonna think to himself, "Oh my God, he has all this, he has all that. I gotta do this. I gotta log in. I gotta quit gooning. I gotta start a business. I gotta start drop shipping. I gotta start trading. I gotta start scamming old people, whatever." And when you're on these scrolls for 2 to 3 hours, it really ruins your attention span. Because the average TikTok and Instagram reel, it may be 10 to 15 seconds, but who really watches it for 10 to 15 seconds? I bet you watch it for 3 to 4 seconds if it interests you. You keep watching it. If it doesn't, you keep scrolling. So the average attention span is 3 to 4 seconds. And it's probably going to get even worse. So you're going through, let's say, like 40 reels per minute. If you think about what you just saw, that is insane. That is insanity. You just skipped through 40 reels in a minute. That's 40 different things that you could have seen in that time period. You know what that does to your attention span? Like, it just got to the point where I needed constant stimulation. Like, even if I was watching TV, I would need my phone. I would need to be playing something on my phone, or I would need to be, checking something on my phone, just doing anything to keep myself focused from one thing. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I still struggle with doom scrolling. When I do occasionally open TikTok or Instagram, I do try to scroll for like an hour, but I do try to limit it at now. I try to limit my screen time daily to 4 to 5 hours. It's really dropped down from a few months ago where it used to be consistently 7 to 8 hours each day to now 4 to 5 hours. I still plan to drop it more down to that 3 to 2 hour mark. But I think one thing that has helped me a lot is definitely deleting Instagram and TikTok on my phone. Um, in public when you know, in public when there's nothing to do, I just don't do anything. I just sit there. I just raw dog it, man. But occasionally I do like go through my pictures or whatever. But that's just it. In public I just don't doom scroll anymore. I just sit there. It's pretty awkward because you see everybody on their phones, but I just sit there, man. Um, yeah, when I do like decide to like check what's like currently happening, I just hop on my computer and just open TikTok or Instagram. It's really not that bad. It's a really good way to limit yourself. Now, TikTok and Instagram, I think they're one of the worst things that could happen to humanity. They are absolutely destroying the self-confidence of young teens. Like imagine you're you're like 18 and you see another 18-year-old on Instagram that just bought a brand new Ferrari and that's in Miami on his vacation right now. Like what that would do to you, like mentally? Like you would think that you're so worthless. Like your self-confidence is going down. Or imagine you're like 20 years old and you see like a 16-year-old kid that's absolutely on test, that's like pumping peptides to the gills, and that's on Accutane, whatever. He's like doing all this, growth hormone, all that, and he's absolutely massive, right? And you're like 20. This dude's like 4 years younger than you, and he looks way better than you. And this is what I used to compare myself to a lot. I used to compare myself to people that were younger than me, that achieved more than me. But at one point, you just have to realize that this isn't the norm. Like, the normal population, it's a bell curve, and these people, they're the like single outlier that's outside of the bell curve. So this type of online activity that you see, it's not sustainable. It never was. It's just to show the peak points of your life and make other people jealous. And to be honest, the more these apps keep you hooked on, the more money they make. So you're just sacrificing your attention span to make these apps more money. They're just taking your attention span. They're not giving you anything. They may be giving you a little bit of that dopamine hit, but trust me, that dopamine hit is gonna get repetitive and it's slowly gonna die down, and you're gonna need more and more and more. and you're just giving away your attention. You're giving away 6 hours of your day for nothing in return. Maybe for like a bit of like a dopamine hit, maybe a bit of like happiness for like a few minutes. But imagine like 6 hours you could spend doing anything else. And most people, they think that, you know what, I don't have a problem, I can stop whenever. So if you're watching this video and you're thinking I can stop whenever, I challenge you to stop using Instagram and TikTok for 2 weeks. That's all I ask. 2 weeks, not even an entire month. For 2 weeks, don't use Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube Shorts, like any doom scrolling. Don't use none of that. For 2 weeks, that's all I ask. And then you'll understand if you have a problem or not.